long time no see.
Makoto, my old friend.
So how was the journey back from Nyx?
Smooth sailing. I'm pretty tight with Erebos. Oh, I stopped by Shadowmoor along the way to see the Inkfathom Witch. She sends her regards. She recalled many fond memories of outracing the ram gangs with you.
Good times. Say, are you two still,
No, heavens no. I can't date merfolk anymore. Something about needing to breathe air when you're, Say, nice place you got here.
Thanks.
You know, you and Lindsay are welcome to come to Dominaria anytime you like. I've got a nice bungalow on a swamp there in the lower pits.
Sounds great. We'd love to.
Let's see. What is it?
It's your first main phase.
No, I know that. I'm just... Okay, now this guy's ability triggers if you... Okay, I passed the turn.
Banishing Light.
Really? That's what you drew? Pretty lucky.
I mean, I have 2 in my deck.
Another land? Are you kidding me? All right, you win.
Take it easy, man. It's just a game.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You know, if you'd sacrificed your spider to get back reprisal 4 turns ago, you'd have won the game.
Yeah? Well, what if I did this?
Keep that demon crap out of my house! See what happens when you tilt. Come on, let's play game 3.
To many of us, Magic is more than just a game. It's a mental sport, and the competitive drive and the heat of the moment can create a phenomenon known to gamers around the world. It's called tilt.
I'm definitely no stranger to tilt. There's not one thing that's going to make me tilt. Tilt just generally comes from frustration, from when things are just not going your way.
Actually, it was at this Pro Tour during round 2 of the second draft where I had an on-board kill if I had just played my bounce spell from my hand. Because I didn't see my opponent's god, Iroha's God of Victory being active, being a creature, so he blocked one of my guys and survived to kill me that game. That put me on really big tilt, but I managed to string it together before the 3rd game and take the match, fortunately for me.
I've been playing this game for like 15 years now, and I've been on both the receiving and on the beneficiary end of random circumstances. So, I mean, I just know it's part of the game. It happens. You won't get around it. Like, you will get unlucky, your opponent will get super lucky, and you will get lucky yourself. So, you just have to deal with it. It's part of it. Otherwise, you should be playing chess. Like, if you can't take it, play chess. There's nothing lucky happening there.
I don't tilt often, but when I do, it's usually because of an opponent's annoying mannerism or an opponent that just takes themselves too seriously but doesn't quite get it. And if you've played a lot of tournament Magic, you'll understand what I mean. It's rudeness in physical form. That's really what sets me off. When you just get the sense that the person doesn't care about having fun or whether you're having fun. I think just having a rude air about you, and then 1 or 2 things happen during the course of the match that brings that out, and then things take a turn.
A lot of it comes from, I think, some degree of either confidence or cockiness, depending on how you want to describe it. But a lot of it just comes from really expecting a lot of great things from yourself, expecting to win matches, to think that you're the better player with a better preparation, better deck, and then you lose.
I think the only thing that tilts me is losing to Craig Wesco. Like, it's not because of him, but because like I always build like mid-range decks that's supposed to beat like white winning decks that select his plays, and I'm like 0-5 against him lifetime. So every time we play, I'm supposed like to be a great favorite in the matchup, and I always lose. So I think right now it's the only thing that really tilts me off.
It's mainly telling myself, slow down, take your time, you got this. You just need to not make any mistakes like the previous game. You fool.
I definitely take it harder than the average person. I definitely tilt for at least the first 10 minutes after it happens more than the average person. And I'm the first one to admit that it's not good, it's not okay, and that you should really not be taking your frustrations out on others. And I think a lot of the frustrations are with myself, like just not winning for whatever the reasons are. It's very hard for me to deal with because I always expect to win. I want to win. It means a lot to me. But that's part of life, and that's part of games with high variance. So, it's just something I have to learn to accept, and I'm trying to learn how to do that better.
Pro Tour Journey into Nyx features the unexplored territory of the block-constructed format. Armed with a fresh set of cards, players are tasked with discovering new strategies that they hope will carry them to the top 8 of the tournament. For creative thinkers, Block provides the best opportunity to build a truly original deck. I'm here with Alex Hain and Sam Pardee, who have come to this Pro Tour with a really spicy homebrew that, Alex, you actually designed. So can you talk to us about your Enchantress-style Eidolon of Blossoms deck?
So, you use Eidolon of Blossoms to draw a lot of cards with a bunch of enchantments in the deck, and then generally you try and obtain a creature that untaps, like Kyora's Follower, plus a land, either Nykthos or a land enchanted with Market Festival, usually 2 copies, so that it produces 5, and a Thassazyre, so that you can pay 4 to untap your creature, which untaps your land, which produces 1 mana in each cycle, gaining you 1 mana, and so then you can produce infinite mana and have all your creatures untapped and all your lands untapped, and then you get Bow of Nylea in play. And since all their creatures are tapped, and since you can untap on any permanent as many times as you want, you can keep using the bow to put +1/+1 counters on all your creatures until they're as big as you want, or you can gain as much life as you want, and then you attack them.
So, Sam, Alex presents this really crazy deck to you, and what do you just say sold right away?
No, that is not my style. I like bad creatures that attack and block, and this deck is not full of those.
Did you enter this tournament thinking that this deck was nothing less than 100% competitive, or was playing a sweet homebrew just too irresistible?
Well, considering I hated most of the other decks in the format, there was definitely some appeal to playing something that's a lot of fun and powerful. But I generally thought that the deck was, while a gamble and weak against some things, has a lot of power, and against the right matchups, you have a very good chance of actually winning the tournament.
Yeah, I thought that the deck was really good to either come in last place or first place. I thought, basically, I didn't show up to top 75. I came to win. I didn't want to play like Naya and go 6-3 or 6-4 or whatever. I wanted to play a deck that would either go 10-0 or 0-10 and try to actually win the tournament. And I think this deck gives us the best shot for that.
Can you tell us, what about Block Constructed allows players to push the boundaries of deck building?
Well, I think it's partly that it's just a very unexplored format, that people haven't put in as much work into it as a kind of hive mind. You can come up with some sweet stuff. I love brewing block decks.
Hain's homebrew didn't win him the trophy, but it ambushed enough opponents to go 7-3 and finish a respectable 28th place. But while the format is new and difficult to predict, the group that did reach the top 8 included some very familiar faces. The top 8 of Pro Tour Journey into Nyx featured superstars fighting each other for survival, and a confident newcomer making Pro Tour history. In reaching the Sunday stage, South Korea's Nam Sung-wook became the first of his country ever to reach the top 8 of a Pro Tour. A new member of the formidable Pan-Asian team MTG Mintcard, Wook came to battle with an enchantment-themed deck centered on the bountiful gifts of a forest spirit called Eidolon of Blossoms. His quarterfinal opponent, Andrea King of the Hill Menguchi, had won an impressive string of games in the feature match area over the weekend, but his dragons didn't survive long enough to take down the stoic Korean. The quarterfinals also saw a bevy of Magic's notable names from past and present. Number 1 ranked player Reed Duke made his long-awaited Pro Tour Top 8 debut, but was felled by the red and green monsters commanded by Japan's Yuki Ichikawa. Pro Tour Return to Ravnica champion Stanislav Tsivka put Josh Utter-Layton through an ordeal, but the reigning player of the year ultimately withstood the Czechs' barrage of attackers. Old school stalwart Jamie Park achieved his third top 8, spanning 3 different decades, but saw his run end in the quarters at the hands of the innovator himself, Magic legend Patrick Chapin. In the semifinals, Chapin went up a game on Josh Utter-Layton thanks to a herd of cats led by their sovereign, Brimaz, King of Oreskos. In Game 2, both players kept risky opening hands, leaving their fate to Lady Luck. Chapin desperately needed to draw land, and when he did, this is how his teammates reacted. A few feline attacks later, and Patrick was through to the finals.
All right, Patrick, that was pretty crazy. Well, what just happened in that last game?
One land keep, and then I scry, didn't see another land, so I'm just hoping, I'm like, okay, I really hope the top one, I'm just visualizing forest, and then it wasn't real until the crowd, like, you hear the crowd erupt, and it was like, oh, this is really what I drew.
What has been your experience of this Pro Tour?
I mean, I've gotten very lucky a number of times, but I also, I guess, just very thankful to have had the testing I did with CFB Pantheon, so feeling super prepared for this. Once I actually got here, I've gotten lucky a number of times to have things break my way, and I'm just feeling very blessed right now.
Meanwhile, in the other semifinal, Nam Sung-wook called upon Elspeth, Sun's champion, to vanquish Yuki Ichikawa. In both Games 1 and 2, the powerful Planeswalker recruited a legion of soldiers, then gave her own life so that they could fly and soar past Ichikawa's defenses. And so the finals would pit Korea's top 8 pioneer Nam Sung-wook against a longtime cultural leader of the Magic community who first played on the Pro Tour 18 years ago. Jealous that anyone else would summon Elspeth, Wook began Game 1 by inserting a brain maggot into Chapin's ear to extract from his head the very thought of calling on her. But Chapin successfully killed the maggot, and Elspeth came quickly to his aid, allowing Chapin to take a 1-0 lead in the series. But Elspeth and her legion of soldiers fought for Wook in Game 2, and once again, she vanished into thin air so that her soldiers could take flight and deliver death from above, tying the series at 1 game apiece. In Game 3, the bizarre love triangle between Chapin, Wook, and Elspeth took a turn for the dramatic. First she appeared on Wook's side of the battlefield, then on Chapin's, then on Wook's again, then on Chapin's. Then she disappeared altogether when Wook cast Banishing Light. But Chapin freed her from the grips of the white enchantment, and she was his to stay, giving Chapin the lead, 2-1. In Game 4, Wook struggled to find land, much less Elspeth. Chapin capitalized with repeated attacks from his Fleecemane Lion. After several claws to the face, Wook conceded, making Patrick Chapin the Pro Tour champion for the first time in his long and storied career.
Patrick, between your 9th place finish in Dublin and now your performance this weekend, I mean, you've been on a hot streak lately. What's changed about your game, would you say?
Earlier in the week, Kai and Paul told me that the best way to win was to get really, really lucky all the time. So I tried that for a change. Plus, being all beat down all the time now is really... I don't even remember ever playing Control.
You've written a book about Magic. You've played on the Pro Tour since you were a kid. You've made a hip-hop album themed on Magic. But you never won the big tournament. What does this mean to you, this moment?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. It hasn't really, I guess, computed too much yet, but I know that it means that I have a chance to play in the World Championships in France later this year. So I'm like super excited. Like I'm one more step closer.
Who else is gonna enjoy this victory as much as you are?
An awful lot of people. Channel Fireball Pantheon, obviously, all my friends, and of course my wife Amanda. And my mom at home, my biggest fan.
Well, congratulations to Patrick Chapin, the champion of Pro Tour Journey into Nyx.
That's what they say, yo. I still had all D. I still had all D. I still had all D.
Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center at Pro Tour Journey into Nyx. I'm Brian David Marshall, and I am joined by Sham Nezzy.
It's good to be here.
So my spies on the floor tell me you've brought quite the little deck to this Pro Tour.
I did. It's a green ramp deck, but it actually splashes black for this card, Worst Fears.
Wow, I know you've been very excited about this card since it was first revealed. For those of you unfamiliar with the card, what it says is you control target player during that player's next turn.
That is correct.
So what's the craziest thing you've done with this card so far?
Nothing too crazy, actually. Mostly I force them to make bad attacks or use their removal spells on their own creatures, misuse their sacrifice outlets, leave their planeswalkers vulnerable, stuff like that. It's actually not as insane a spell as it sounds, but it's usually enough to disrupt their game plan and set me up to win on the following turn.